IVM.
Hello and welcome to Football Twaddle. My name is Saru. I have Kumar Kana with me. Kana, what's up?
Hey guys.
And Baru isn't here because Baru is not feeling too well. So Kana and I are going to take you guys through this week's episodes, which is both the fantasy episode, which comes out later in the week, and the regular show. And if all the tournaments we have to follow and watch isn't enough, we now have something called the UEFA Nations League. And in the international break, that's what's dominating the headlines. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about. And Kana, first things first, I don't understand. What is this UEFA Nations League?
So it is a new tournament. It's basically a replacement for the European friendlies.
Yeah.
It's supposed to make the interseason. Basically, the fans started calling it the interseason lull, international friendlies lull, because there were a lot of meaningless games happening, which had no value. So the countries also, the teams were not taking them seriously. So it was an opportunity, obviously, to bring in new players, just give them a chance to feel the international setup.
But I thought that was what international friendlies and...
Yeah, but now, so they've replaced the friendlies with a tournament as such. It is for Europe, I think 55 teams are participating in it currently, which have been divided into 4 groups.
Oh, even before that, is it like a tournament which is going to replace the Euro qualifiers?
No. So the qualifiers will happen.
So now we'll have a Euro qualifiers.
Yes.
Plus we'll have World Cup qualifiers, obviously, from UEFA. Yeah. And now we have something called the UEFA Nations League.
Yes.
So does that mean that there's never going to be any friendly again now?
Yeah, more
or there'll
less,
be friendlies?
No, there won't be any time for friendlies now. So the Nations League is fitting into the time windows where till the last season friendlies used to happen.
Okay.
So as far as the concept of the league goes, it's been divided into...
This is already so confusing.
Yeah, and no, it gets even more confusing. In a way, it's good for the fans. Yeah, so it's divided into 4 leagues. Let me start. So there's League A, B, C, D.
Yes.
And so it's not a random selection. So the top 10 seeded teams go into League A. So
Group A, you mean?
So no, these are the leagues. League A. So there are 4 leagues and each league has groups under it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
there are 55 teams in UEFA, right?
Yes, there are 55 teams.
So all these 55 teams are divided into how many leagues?
4 leagues. So League A has 12 teams, League B has 12 teams, League C has 15 teams, League D has 16 teams.
Okay. Already it's getting a little weird.
Yeah. So the good thing is that, the top 12 seeded teams in Europe have been put in League A.
Okay, now let's take one example, which is League A.
Yeah.
So that's the top 12 teams. Do they have groups in between?
Yeah, so League A has then 4 groups between them.
Okay, so 12 by 4 is...
So 3 teams in each group.
Okay.
So like France, Germany and Netherlands is one group.
Alright.
And then there is...
How is Netherlands even in the top 12 rank of Europe? Didn't they qualify? They didn't even qualify for Euro, right?
They didn't. Italy also didn't.
No, Italy didn't qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah, so Netherlands has missed out on the last 2
and they're still in the top 12 seeds of Europe.
Yes.
Alright, so now League 1.
League A has...
Group A, B, C.
No, League A has group 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. And out of the 3 teams in Group 1, what happens?
So League A has 4 groups, right?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
The winners of each group qualify into the semi-finals as such.
Okay, so basically they play home and away, and whoever wins among the top 3, the 4 people qualify for the semi-finals of League A.
League A, yes.
And the similar thing would happen for B,
all
C,
the
D.
other leagues.
Okay. So from 55 countries, now we have moved down to 16.
16 countries, yes.
Alright.
No, but again, these countries don't play amongst themselves.
Why?
So League A plays only teams from League A.
Yeah. So League A has 4 teams now in the semi-final.
Yeah, so they play amongst themselves, and then there is a semi-final, and then there is a winner.
And the semi-final is again a home and away format.
Yes.
And then that becomes the winner of League A.
Yeah.
And then so you'll have winners of League A, League B, League C and League D.
Yes.
So you'll have 4 winners of UEFA Nations League?
No, so there are winners of each league. Then after that what happens is, then each league gets a playoff spot into the Euros. So a team can qualify for the Euros A through the normal qualifying path also. So each winner of the league gets a playoff spot. Not a direct entry, it's a playoff spot.
I think one thing you're missing is that there's a relegation aspect to it
Yeah,
as well.
so
So the
obviously
team that finishes top of the group is
gets
promoted to
the
a higher
higher
league.
league.
And the team that finishes bottom of each group is relegated to a lower league.
Yeah.
Now, how many teams are that? So how many teams will go through the bottom? So from League A, how do they decide top and bottom? Dude, this is so
No,
confusing.
it's a league format, right? So it's very easy to decide.
No.
Yeah.
It's a group format, right? So you have group A, B, C and D, correct? So the winners of group A, B, C and D will play the semi-final. How do you decide who is the bottom team of group A, B,
So the
C
bottom
and D?
leagues of all, the bottom teams in all 4 leagues, I think go down.
All of them. So there are 4 teams which go down and 4 teams which would come up. Kanao. See, this is how confusing it is.
It's. I think it eventually, because it's the first year, so obviously there'll be some.
But the rules would have been set, right? So who is going down? Like who goes down from? So see, I have something here which says the 4 teams who win their respective League A groups, right?
Yeah.
Will qualify for the knockout finals in June 2019.
Yes.
And then there'll be a semi-final, final, and third place playoff.
Yes.
Right. To decide the Nations League winner for that league.
Yeah.
One of those 4 teams will act as the host and everything. Now, so it says team finishing bottom of each group is relegated to a lower level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So there are 4 teams which
from
get
each
relegated.
league, which go down,
and the 4 teams which come up.
So basically, the 4 teams from League B, which have qualified for the semi-finals,
Yes.
will play in League A for next year.
Yeah.
And there will be 4 teams from League A which go down.
Yeah. So does this mean that, let's say, a team like Germany now is not going to play a team like San Marino for the longest time now?
Yeah, which reduces a lot of the mismatch and the 7-0s and the 8-0s you see. So Germany, like I already said, are paired up with France and Netherlands. England face Spain and Croatia. Portugal, Italy, Poland, Belgium, Switzerland, Iceland. So a fairly balanced out groups. And also we've seen the first 2 rounds have already underway. So good quality matches happening. At the start there was some apprehension over whether the teams will take it seriously enough. It's well and good to devise a format, but the teams have to take it seriously enough. France, we've seen 2 matches now. They started with the same 11 that played in the World Cup finals, apart from Hugo Lloris, who's out injured. Yeah. So if the world champions are taking it seriously, and the matches are fairly competitive. Germany France was a bit boring. But I think England played a good game.
I know, but then what I don't understand, why did they start the UEFA Nations League? Like, what were the objectives?
I think it's more
to make much more money.
Oh, money definitely, and also how many people in Germany would go to watch Germany play, say Liechtenstein or?
They are going to beat them 16-0, dude. A lot of people would go.
No, people won't go. So obviously, it's unfair on the smaller teams because they would get a lot of revenue. So say Germany traveling to San Marino to play.
Yeah.
A lot of people in San Marino would turn up to watch, even though it's a 10-0 or a 20-0 loss for their team.
Yeah.
So it eliminates that mismatch. It makes the international window a bit more competitive for the fans. Also, they have to look at the television revenues. Now, did you watch any international friendlies last season?
Yes.
But do you all
Germany, Saudi?
No, I'm not talking about the pre-World Cup friendlies.
Yeah, always last season what were there? Yeah, but then coming back to Nations League, so it basically they have 2 spare dates for international friendlies.
Yeah.
And that's really not much. So right now what's going on is the match day 1, which is September 6 to 8. Match day 2, September 9 to 11, which has already started.
Yeah.
And then you have in October, November. So basically it's in 3 months you have the whole thing, right?
Yeah, the first round of games.
Yes.
And then there'll be, the reverse fixtures also.
Yeah. So why would any team take the UEFA Nations League seriously? Like, other than it being a new tournament is like...
Yeah, so there are, like I said, playoff spots for the qualifiers.
Yes, but more importantly, the UEFA Nations League is basically deciding the ranking for Euro 2020 qualifying draw. Because Euro 2020 qualifying happens in 2019.
Yes.
So if you don't take the Nations League seriously, your seeding in the draw would get affected, and that makes it much tougher for your qualifying. So let's say Netherlands don't take it seriously. I don't think even if they take it seriously, they can do anything much
they
right
could
now.
have put up a good fight against France yesterday, so it's too early to judge. Don't be so judgmental.
About Netherlands,
Yeah,
dude,
they
I want them,
were a good team.
Yeah, I want them to do well. I mean, I never said then they're not doing well, or I don't want them to do well. I'm just saying that in spite of whatever they do, I don't think like there'll be anything. So let's now come back to the groups.
Yeah.
Now that we have a fair idea of what this Nations League is, so the groups. So League 1 has what teams?
League A.
Yes, so my bad. League A has what
So
teams?
the 12 teams in League A are, Group 1 is Germany, France, Netherlands. Group 2 is Belgium, Switzerland, Iceland. Group 3 is Portugal, Italy, Poland. And today Italy is playing Portugal.
Mhm.
And then Group 4 is Spain, England, Croatia. We've already seen a good game between Spain and England.
So England is, according to my estimation, the Netherlands of Group D.
Yes. And now I think since Gareth Southgate has stopped wearing his
The
waistcoat.
The waistcoat.
Yeah, they've run out of luck.
Okay, more importantly, where is San Marino? In which group and which league are they part of?
I like your love for San Marino.
Dude,
Yeah, San Marino is in League D.
which is obvious.
Yeah, so San Marino is paired up with Luxembourg, Moldova, and Belarus.
Belarus
Yeah,
beat them.
obviously.
But Luxembourg, Moldova, that's actually a very interesting group, man.
Yeah,
because
I think-
Luxembourg don't play well. San Marino doesn't play
Which
well.
is the whole objective of the league.
Yeah, so now, even before we get into the matches, the few matches we saw, now, and there's a lot of prize money attached to this. Obviously, UEFA
Yeah.
is going to get richer, and subsequently the boards of the football associations of every country is going to get richer. Now, looking at this, the Asian football, AFC, they are basically saying that even we would like to try the, Asian Nations
but
League.
the problem is that the Asian League anyways is not as competitive as Europe. So
But that's okay. Like, we go to watch India games, right? At least
Yeah.
if you're playing someone in and around your level, the chance of winning is 50%. The 50-50, the odds
right
are.
now we are, I think the Indian team is performing really well, and but yeah, they're not playing regularly against the Saudis or.
Yes. Okay,
No.
now let's get to a few games which we saw. One is Spain 2, England 1.
Yeah,
Well,
should have been 2-2.
It
That was
should
not a
have been
foul.
2-2, but I think Spain generally showed who's the boss in that game.
Yeah, Spain dominated, but I think the last 15 minutes England played really well. They had Spain under a lot of pressure.
But Sergio Ramos doesn't come under pressure.
Yeah.
And why was everyone booing Sergio Ramos?
Yeah, because they deprived England of a Champions League trophy.
England now.
I mean, yeah. So if it's you have to take your nation's side against the Spanish.
or against Sergio Ramos. If you think about that game, Luke Shaw, that injury, oh man.
And he was playing really well. The first 15-20 minutes, he put in a really good shift. I think this is just about the time he's starting to hit a good run of form.
And then but then, nowadays the world has changed so much that people now look at is Luke Shaw well? What's happened to Luke Shaw? No, he must be fine. He's tweeted that he's fine. So now we've reached a level where if the player tweets himself.
Yeah, but again, this is more a case of, a head injury where the concussion is the worst case. I mean, it's what people are worried about. It's not like an ankle injury or a hamstring which will keep him out for a longer duration of time. So there were reports that he has woken up in the dressing room. There was no need to take him to the hospital.
Yeah,
which is a good sign.
Yes, but England are 3 losses on a trot,
Yes.
And it's irrespective of how you want to spin their World Cup performance.
and
England has never beaten a team which is ranked
above them
or around them also.
Yeah.
I don't know which is the team around them they've beaten. So England is basically playing on its own level.
Yeah, it's like the
optimism,
like the Indian cricket team.
Dude, let's not talk about cricket right now. It's depressing. Yeah, so basically, all that optimism, just like Sergio Ramos just sucked the optimism out of England as well. Everyone's just like, we lost 3 in a row now.
Guess who England play next?
Who else is there in the group?
Croatia.
Oh, yes.
This is going to be another fun game. So which is why, so I am happy about the Nations League because, when there's no Premier League football, I don't have anything to do in life. So I get to watch this. And these games, it's not just that, the games are happening on weekends. There is one game every night. I was watching France play Netherlands yesterday. Tonight I'll go home and watch Portugal play Italy. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, actually I had quite a fun, and given that how seriously everyone is taking, like the Danish players and the Danish FA, in fact the Danish FA was going to play the third strung team, team from the second division, third division, because there's a contractual dispute, and they kept that aside and pushed it away because of Nations League. So people are actually taking it quite seriously. So it's going to be fun, and let's hope. But Germany's group is going to be tough. Yeah, there's France, Germany, and
Netherlands.
At least they'll beat Netherlands. So, yeah, whatever. Yeah, we take a break right now. That was all about UEFA Nations League. It's as confusing as it. So please listen to our episode twice or thrice to understand what this Nations League is about. And after the break, we come back. We talk about Santi Carzola. We talk about Liverpool's new throw-in coach and West Ham United. Please stay tuned to Football Twaddle.
You know what it's been? It's been another awesome week on IVM. If you aren't following us on social media, make sure you are. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On Cider Says this week, we have comedian Adar Malik. Adar also hosts a show called Sunlogi. You should check that out as well. But on Ciders, he talks about everything from theatre, family heritage, and sings a comedy song. On IVM Like, Sharanya and May are back to join the gang to talk about their favorite subject, rom-coms. On the Pragati podcast, Pawan and Hamsani discuss how and why the fall in the Indian rupee is connected with developments in Turkey, with co-founder and fellow at the Takshashila Institution, Narayan Ramchandran. Last week, we released the final episode of the Kolaba Cartel, where we spoke to other members from the Misty team along with the 5 cartel members about how things have turned out after the launch of the restaurant. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam talks to Deepak Shenoy on the business of life in a 1-hour episode. Whatever may be your profession, you definitely don't want to miss this episode. On the Kinetic Living podcast, Coach Urmi talks to Kanish Surka. Kanish shares her thoughts about her fitness motivation and more. And with that, let's continue on with your show.
Hello and welcome back to Football Total. As always, I have Kana with me, and from Nations League we move to the Premier League and we talk about things which we kind of missed out and important things which we read during the international break. The first thing we talk about, Kana, is Sid Lowe, the journalist, had a interview with Santi Carzola, and we all know various versions of what had happened to him and how bad it was. But reading the interview, it gets so sad, and I don't know how he was not. The first question was how is he not angry with the medical team at Arsenal? Right?
Yeah.
That was the first question. I thought, someone whose 10 centimeters of his tendon is eaten away by bacteria. How is he not angry with the medical staff of Arsenal?
I think he is angry. He's just keeping it to himself. If you read that article, he says a couple of times that I considered, taking them to court, but I was advised to focus on, my recovery and career. So not just, the medical staff at Arsenal. I think this has been a problem Arsenal has faced over the years also. A lot of our players get injured, with the recovery time of, say, 4 weeks to 6 weeks. They're out for months. It has been, I think, there have been steps which are being taken. But when you read that article, that is, I think, gross negligence on the medical team's part.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about that whole interview was that, Santi Carzola, it was not even a big injury. And if you actually read it, it says Arsene Wenger says it's not a big injury and he's out for a couple of weeks. But what happens after that is that the bacteria goes in and he's being given antibiotics. But they don't know what's the bacteria. So even though everything seems fine, there's bacteria eating away his tendon and he could just feel through his bones. Man, I can't even imagine the pain he's gone through with what was supposed to be a really small injury.
And he spent 18, 19 months out of the game, not playing.
700 days almost.
Yeah.
And he's never going to play like what he was before the...
Obviously, no. But the thing is that, after the first 6-8 months when details of his injury started coming out, so a lot of, the Arsenal blogs and, people who follow Arsenal got little information. It was said that it's so bad that there were serious doubts about whether he would actually ever come and play.
Yeah.
Play a professional game of football. But I think full credit to Carzola that he's recovered. He's playing for Villarreal now. He started all 3 games.
Yeah.
And because he's such a joyful player to watch.
Yeah, he seemed like a happy chap, and
He's a happy chap. And also, I think he was. I think I'm gonna get a little nostalgic here now. It's something very close to my heart, but I loved watching Santi. After Fabregas, he was the the only Arsenal player I loved watching play. Irrespective of whether the team was winning, losing,
yeah,
he could always
gave it
produce
his
those.
all,
Yeah, and he always produced those little moments of magic. Small, low center of gravity, quick, two-footed. What else could you ask for in a player?
Yeah, so apart from Arsenal medical team's negligence, another great thing of that article is about how great Arsene Wenger is. So when he was injured, and obviously Wenger called it like the worst injury he's seen in his life. So in spite of knowing the full extent of it, he gave him a contract extension and said, dude, don't worry about it. We are here, just like go and recover. I think that is pretty big for a man who has been shouted at. Like none of us knew, right?
Yeah, so the details are not out at that time. But this is again, I wouldn't say is, but this was the way the club was run now with Stan taking over full control, you never know. But Santi was not the only case. Abu Dhabi was a player we kept under contract for a long period of time. When Ramsey broke his leg, he was out for over a year. He's still under contract. We renewed his contract then also. Wilshere, Van Persie, all of these players. A lot of fans say that this is incompetence on the club's part.
Yeah, but there is a human element
to
it.
Yeah, obviously
right?
It's a human element. And so, see, the incompetence I would say is, not getting in proper replacements. If you know a player is going to be out for 2 years, you need to get replacement.
And the incompetence should be checked at the medical team level. What antibiotics were they giving? And the most heartbreaking thing, there are 2 images. If you see, one is him basically showing the tendon where he could just put his hand through it.
Yeah.
And the second one is obviously
his daughter's tattoo.
His daughter, by the way, is named India.
Yeah.
But
now the tattoo only reads IND.
The tattoo on his arm reads only IND.
There's a lot of things. I think he's taken out tendons from his arm to put in his ankle.
Yeah.
There's some muscle from his thigh also which has gone in somewhere. A lot of patching up has been done.
I hope he plays at least for 2-3 weeks. And at least the most heartwarming thing about that article or about Santi Carzola was that last year he basically told them, look, I am going to go out for practice, and so that he could kick the ball around. And those small little things where he calls up his wife and his kids and says, look, I kicked a ball, and they're so happy about it.
But I remember the game when he was out on the pitch during the pre-match. It was the semi-final against Atletico Madrid for UEFA Cup. I was watching the game. He was so happy, and online you read a lot of interactions. People were so happy just to see him out having fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans were also disappointed that obviously his contract was not renewed.
But probably now you can understand why it wasn't renewed. Yeah, so I mean, that was such a heartbreaking article in so many levels. At least I'm happy he's back and he's playing at Villarreal, and I hope that he meets Arsenal at Europa League somewhere. And
we'll call him for. I think a lot of
they called him for the Legends game, and he said, "Dude, I'm still playing."
No, so they called him not to play. But I think Arsenal.
They didn't call him to play.
No,
I thought they called him to play.
So the Legends game is only for players who have retired.
Oh, talking about the Legends game. What's up with this Arsenal fan TV? Look, I have a lot of patience for everyone abusing all the time, and I generally don't abuse or I give a long rope to people. But then what the hell, man? There was an interview of a guy saying that, are these the legends we got? Where is Martin Keown? Why is he not playing? What sort of videos are those?
I think people are just, now with
it's a charity bloody game.
With social media, I think...
He's screaming that he didn't see Bergkamp play. Whatever.
We've basically given idiots a platform to raise their voices.
Look, those guys are pretty smart people, Robbie and everyone else.
Yeah, they know the right people to tap. Which
so
will get
why would they put out a stupid video like this?
Because it's controversy. It'll get them more views. It'll get them more revenue from YouTube. It's as simple as that.
It was that article was
I think AFTV guys are very smart. They're doing what is best, even if they don't believe, which I highly doubt, because they're very anti-club all the time. But they know the right,
No, I think off late at least, let's not talk too much about AFTV, but off late at least that, they have a right mixture of
I think for the past couple of 3 years, I've been following a strategy where I give them zero bandwidth at all. I don't watch their videos. I don't listen to what they say. The best way to, deal with idiots is to just ignore them.
Alright, so moving on from Santi Carzola and his injury and incompetence of team and magnanimity of Arsene Wenger, let's talk about some coaching. Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp has now hired a specialist throw-in coach, and that coach, I don't remember his name, but he's supposed to have given his previous teams like advantage of like about 6 to 8 to 10 points, and that is huge.
And I think Liverpool already have, I think Joe Gomez is their throw-in taker.
Yes.
And I think it's a strategy, Stoke used for a very long period of time.
Yeah, but then Stoke used Rory Delap, but if there's going to be like half a dozen throw-ins, I don't know, there are like million throw-ins in a game.
Exactly. No, so I think probably you're focusing on throw-ins in the attacking half where you can, treat them like a corner or like a cross, a free kick.
It is a specialist job.
It is a specialist job, yes. If you can get a throw-in, around the penalty spot, it is as good as a free kick.
And I don't know, and Klopp obviously said that I need specialists. Specialists are not enough. I will use them at my discretion.
Exactly.
I don't see what is the laughing matter at this. As the grand old men of English punditry, which is Richard Keys and Andy Gray, they're like, oh, what will you get in next? A kick-off specialist?
So why not? There are all...
Just get all the bloody specialists you can, right?
This is, again, it's not like we are playing in the 60s where you just hoof the ball long and run after it.
Even that required some specialist, some dude to say hoof the ball there. Like a goalkeeper's distribution is as important as him saving these days.
Exactly. So the game is evolving. I think these people are still caught up in the older times.
I think
which is why I think Gary Neville is very highly respected as a pundit because he listens to all opinions. He doesn't just ram over them without even giving it a thought.
Yeah.
Just because it didn't happen 2 years ago doesn't mean that it's not required.
Well, these are the same two guys who basically said Andy Gray obviously has this famous thing. Can Messi do it in a
wet cold night?
Yeah, Messi can do it anywhere. So, like, stop asking stupid questions. He was the first AFTV. If you see by that.
No, but these guys are, I think, they served the game well.
I know, I'm just exaggerating. Oh God, so sensitive you get.
I've played FIFA all my life.
So
you don't know the joy.
So you think Liverpool's throw-in coach will be? They're all short players. Who's the tall player in Liverpool?
Van Dijk is there.
But I don't know. I actually look at my thinking also. For me, because my throw-in knowledge is basically Delap will like throw a missile down, and then someone is going to head it. There could be many things in throw-in.
Yeah, and then you can obviously build a play around. It's not just throwing the ball into the box. You can build 10 different plays around a throw-in.
Yes,
and you practice them over and over. So right now, all teams do practice throw-ins. They have a normal coach taking over it. Klopp has just gotten a specialist who will focus on just that. I don't see what is wrong in it.
And I don't think he's going to be paid much as well. So I don't see like a club like Liverpool or any club in Premier League can afford it.
Yeah.
But one team in Premier League which probably can't afford anything right now is West Ham United. Last week we said that we have to talk about West Ham because Manuel Pellegrini, all said and done, comes with a great record and pedigree.
Exactly.
And obviously the West Ham fans turn on their team faster than anyone in Premier League.
See, the thing is that, West Ham fans turn on their owners much faster than they turn on their team.
Yeah, but it shows so much on... even the team, if they don't play attractive football, they start booing and screaming for no reason.
But right now, the form they're in, it's, I think, beyond any justification.
Yeah.
After all the... for once, you have to give David Gold some credit that he's put in money. He's gotten a new manager with, like you said, a lot of pedigree. He's given him the money to build a new squad.
Yeah. So, can you tell who are the players? Because it seems like Arsenal 2.0.
I think Arsenal 2.0 is still fine, but the biggest one is Felipe Anderson, obviously, coming in for 36 million. And
that was a lot of money, man.
Yeah, and this is a player who's won the Euros.
Yeah, but still, it seems like a lot of money. And then you have Wilshere going in there.
Wilshere was a free transfer. I think they signed a 21-year-old defender for France, Issa Diop. Again, I think it's 21 or 20 something. It's one for the future.
How many players have they signed this season?
They signed an entire team. So
if I remember reading right, they spent about 90 to 100 million.
Yeah, around 100 million. So this signed Lucas Fabianski, ex-Arsenal. They signed Wilshere. Close to the deadline day, they signed Lucas Perez also.
Yeah.
That's 3 Arsenal players. Then there's Carlos Sanchez, there's Felipe Anderson, there's Yarmolenko, who was for a longest period of time, I think, linked with a move to either Liverpool or Tottenham.
But Yarmolenko is like, because he played well in the World Cup, I guess, right?
No, but even the past 3-4 years, he's always been linked to a move in the Premier League.
All right.
And he comes from Dortmund. It's
so
not
now
like,
West Ham have 4 losses in 4.
Yeah.
They have a manager under pressure. They've spent 100 million. Their fans will turn anytime now. You think there is any hope for West Ham in the next? If they don't pick up points in the next 2 games, you think Pellegrini will probably be the first to get?
I think you have to give Pellegrini, just for his track record,
some
time, yeah. And also, I think
that way this season is already better than last season. After 4 games, Frank de Boer got sacked, and this season no one's yet got sacked. So also, Premier League's already made advances.
Another thing is that no disrespect, but there are a couple of teams which have, take Cardiff for example.
Neil Warnock.
No, so the manager is fine, but player to player,
West Ham
don't seem like a team
who will stay.
Yeah, over a longer period of time. I think a run of 4, 5, 7 games is still fine. But I would bet on Cardiff getting relegated over West Ham anytime.
So how long do you think, given where we are, because Pellegrini's never had a relegation battle, and we know Sam Allardyce is out of a job, and Sam Allardyce, when he's out of a job, what he does is he goes to studios, he talks the big game, he laughs at other managers, and he gets a job, and then he puts that team out of relegation troubles and gets sacked. So that's his working model.
Yeah.
So since Sam Allardyce will start going into, he's already come on like TalkSport and others, now he'll increase his media presence. How long do you think Pellegrini will have to turn this situation around?
I think probably till December he'll be given time.
Yeah.
And I think he can turn around with the quality of players he has at his disposal. And
Arnautovic.
He's, I think that man, if they're anywhere getting relegated, he would get a move to a top 10 team.
After the season.
But
they can use Arnautovic, probably is their weapon to like get out of relegation battle. Anyways, that was this week's episode. Next week again we are back, and the
Premier League is back.
The Premier League is back, and obviously we are going to talk about Tottenham versus Liverpool. But that's something to look forward to next week. Kanav, thank you very much.
Have a good week, guys.
And listeners, please follow us on Instagram, Football Twaddle, Facebook, Football Twaddle, and Twitter @Footy Twaddle. And please rate us on iTunes. On that note, this is Saru signing off from our weekly episode of FT. Bye-bye.
Shunya one, shunya one, shunya one, shunya one.
$1 billion acquisition. Another copycat startup got formed.
No, the tech world in India is surely moving double the speed of this voiceover.
Tune in to Shunya One every Tuesday to catch us talking to the smartest people we know on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Yeah. It's IVM here. Let's go. We the IVM kids on the block over here. Just to talk, taking a break from producing all day, coming on this podcast cause we got stuff to say. IVM Daily is the name of the show. Monday to Friday, we ready to go. Talking about stuff in our head. We might even talk about our favorite bread. Signing out, it's IVM here, the podcast network that's in your ear.
Catch IVM Daily, Monday to Friday on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.